Hello, it's Blackbird. It's a great morning. I've been doing these vlogs for quite a while, and so I want to kind of summarize what it is I'm experiencing, what it is that I'm finding difficulty with, what it is that I'm trying to convey to people that I don't think there's enough information out there on. It's not about pain, it's not about PTSD. It's not about trauma or dealing with depression or things like that. There is something called interoception. There's something called proprioception. Proprioception is if you put both hands behind your head and you can tell where your hand is in relation to your head, where one hand is in relation to the other. That's proprioception. That is your body's nervous system sensing the world around it through your... I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a guy who had to learn all this by himself. So that's proprioception. Interoception is your body's ability to be able to feel itself internally. A very simple exercise to see how in tune you are with your internal system. Just take a moment. Feel your heart beating. Can you feel it? Some people can, some people can't. It's a degree of your interoceptive clarity, level of interoception, whatever, that some people have a better tune in, or better in tune with their internal systems than what other people are. Mine started with my bowels when I was very young, and my muscles. Started when I was 5. I didn't have a lot of problems with it other than sometimes I was not passing bowel movements, and because I didn't feel it. I didn't really feel the urge to go, and there were things that were wrong, but it wasn't anything, and I learned to adapt to it. My muscle issues, I learned to adapt to it. I knew that my muscles were tight. I didn't realize that how tight they were. Because of so young losing interoception to such a heavy degree, I ended up, when I would get tense, my muscles would tighten down, and my muscles tightened down to the point where I had knots that my body was twisting itself because it was so tight. And at the same time, I would get angry and I would grind my teeth and I would put all of that tension into my teeth. And what I was doing was tightening down more and more and more and more. And I'm having to understand all of this with very little help from medicine. Through the VA healthcare system, I've gotten next to no help whatsoever, except for a referral to somebody that doesn't work for the VA. And he explained to me the concept of polyvagal, which is possibly what happened to me at like 5 years old, where I lost interoception because of a trauma to my head, and just successive things after that, everything got worse. And then I suffered injuries. And then because of my teeth tightening down, I ended up busting a tooth. Well, I ended up having to have 3 other teeth pulled because my teeth had been getting so tight, and it affected all the muscles in my face, my eyes, everything. How tight everything had been getting. And so now, after 7 months of therapy of understanding what this concept was and how it affected my nervous system, how I internalized so many things where I locked my body down even more. I ended the therapy, and the therapist had given me what I could get from him. And about a month and a half later, I ended up realizing that the grinding thing, I was still gritting my teeth when I was fighting through this pain and trying to stand up and pull my body apart so that I could straighten out. And that biting down, I ended up having, a piece of bone that from probably that oral surgery 21 years ago that started sticking out of the inside of my jaw, scraping against the inside of my neck, my throat, and my back of my tongue. Every time I would talk, I would swallow, I'd try to chew. And I went through the VA, I went through Medicaid, I went through a civilian doctor, I went through my VA, tried to go through my VA doctor. It's been a month and a half since I've heard from her, but, or long, almost a month and a half. But finally I broke it off, and I thought that was it. Now I started straightening out my jaw now, and the other side is starting to get stronger, and I'm getting all that back, and I'm starting to get the interoception back. This is what's been building in all of my body for, 10 and a half months now. Straightening things out, unlocking things that I have to retrain my brain how to relax. Not retrain it. I have to train my brain how to let my body relax, because I haven't relaxed since, I think Nixon was president. So, interoception is a tricky thing because it can't be measured. It's not fully understood. My problems began over 45, 50 years ago for most part, and 50 years ago. Even just from the oral surgery, which was 21 years ago. Polyvagal wasn't a theory yet. The vagus nerve, which is part of the polyvagal theory, wasn't even known to really function in two separate parts. We're just starting to understand the nuances of how that affects the human body. And one of the biggest things with that is interoception, because your nervous system, that vagus nerve, travels throughout your entire body. You have a front half and a back half, and that is how you feel and relax. And when those are connected properly and you're not blocking it because of past traumas or whatever you have locked things up with. So it's an experience unraveling all of this after 50 years. But this to me is polyvagal. This to me is what interoception is. I'm starting to feel my body in ways that I could only imagine. So, if any of this makes any sense to anyone, or it helps someone in some way to understand that those things that they tell you, fibromyalgia, oh, you just have pain. Well, sometimes it is fibromyalgia. It could be Crohn's disease. It could be a lot of different things. But if they rule everything else out and they just tell you that it's fibromyalgia because they can't find anything else, or they just tell you that you have chronic pain or whatever, that they just can't explain, oh, it's a soft tissue related item. Seek out somatic therapists. Talk to counselors. They understand polyvagal.